Hello my friends in your channel Tech Out Border. Are you ready for the ultimate best budget graphics card showdown? On this video, we will show you 5 best budget graphics card on. Make sure to watch till the end because position 1 will shock you. You can find all the products links is on the description below. Let's start with the RX 6700 XT, good for full HD 1080p and 2K 1440 pixels performance. The Radeon RX 6700 XT delivers good performance, and the official price looks reasonable. It's doubtful AMD will meet the demand at launch, but long-term this should prove a competitive offering in the GPU market. We are talking about 12GB GDDR6 VRAM and 96MB Infinity Cache. The RX 6700 XT's clock speed represents a bit of an interesting compromise. To push clocks into the 2.5 GHz range, AMD had to increase the power limits. Considering the smaller die and reduced VRAM, normally we'd expect a pretty significant drop in power requirements compared to the RX 6800, but AMD lists a TBP, typical board power, meaning it includes all power and not just the GPU, of 230 watt. That's not bad, and it's certainly within reach of most modern gaming PCs as it only requires a decent 500 watt PSU. AMD recommends 650 watt or higher. However, it's slightly more than Nvidia's competing RTX 3060 Ti and 3070 GPUs. Now, let's move on to RX 6750 XT. The solid gaming performance, large triple-fan cooler and high-end graphics cards get the most attention, but we almost always see the fiercest competition in the middle of the GPU market. Cards in this segment offer buyers a highly enjoyable gaming experience without emptying their bank accounts. That's why more mid-range cards are sold than either economy or premium GPUs, and it's also why we see far more options to choose among here. With competition this intense, every advantage counts, no matter how small, which is what brings us to AMD's new, for 2022 Radeon RX 6750 XT graphics chip. At its heart, the RX 6750 XT is little more than a factory overclocked Radeon RX 6700 XT, but that's enough to tempt many gamers. The card tested here is MSI's Radeon RX 6750 XT Gaming X Trio 12GB, a tricked-out iteration of the RX 6750 XT. Its higher clock speed provides a solid performance boost in some games, but considering the price, you might be better off buying a Radeon RX 6700 XT. The Asus RX 6750 XT ROG Strix delivers a minor upgrade in performance to AMD's $400 class offerings. It also comes with a higher MSRP and slightly increased power draw, with a memory speed upgrade from 16 gigabits per second to 18 gigabits per second. Unfortunately, the memory speed boost and other updates don't seem to help as much as expected, and the Strix price premium is difficult to justify. Next up, we have the RX 6600 XT. Best on a budget. The AMD RX 6600 XT is our current top recommended card for those on a strict budget. It's the cheapest option in AMD's previous generation and is built on the same Radeon DNA2 architecture as its more expensive siblings. During our tests, we found the card can't match the performance of Nvidia's more expensive RTX 3060 Ti, especially when it comes to ray tracing. But for the price, it's still a very capable card for full HD gaming, low power consumption and wealth of features for Ryzen builds. Modern games, including Doom Eternal, Destiny 2 and Cyberpunk 2077 all ran over 60 frames per second in our full HD benchmarks, while FSR-compatible titles, like Godfall, can see the performance boosted even further due to some upscaling smarts. If you don't care about sky-high frame rates or ray tracing when playing games in full HD, the budget-friendly price makes the AMD Radeon RX 6600 XT a solid choice. However, AMD RDNA 3 graphics cards are right around the corner, so it may be worth waiting for their launch before settling for one of AMD's existing options. Moving along, we have the GTX 1650 Super, better budget card, much faster than original non-Super GeForce GTX 1650 in full HD and 2K gaming, runs quiet, priced competitively. Did we ask for it? Not really. Is it here anyway? Most definitely. Does it game well? Yeah, actually. The Zotac GeForce GTX 1650 Super Twin Fan is the first GeForce GTX 1650 Super card we've tested, and it is a decisively more compelling mainstream graphics card than the original GTX 1650. But the line between GTX 1650 and GTX 1650 Super models is so thin that if you just glance at the differences, you might miss them entirely. Even so, this Zotac card does exactly what its name suggests it should. It performs better than a GeForce GTX 1650 and in some cases, AMD's competing Radeon RX 5500 XT, launching today, while performing slightly under what we saw in the GeForce GTX 1660. If you were considering the GeForce GTX 1650, the GTX 1650 Super is clearly the better buy, and it just edges out AMD's latest on value, if not absolute speed. It will get you to the midpoint of powering most games in full HD at a frame rate above 60 frames per second, so long as you tweak your settings accordingly. It earns a new Editor's Choice Award for budget cards. The refreshed GPU packs 1280 CUDA cores, 80 texture units and 32 ROPs. It comes clocked at 1530 MHz for the base with a boost clock of 1725 MHz, though this will vary depending on the brand and model a bit. On board we have 12 GB per second GDDR6 memory, though there's only 4 GB of it using a 128-bit wide memory bus providing 192 GB per second of memory bandwidth. The GTX 1650 Super is based on the TU116 die, the full part number is TU116-250, and this is the same physical die used by the GTX 1660, 1660 Super and 1660 Ti, but of course, parts of the die are deactivated. Whereas the parts we just mentioned all have 48 ROPs enabled and get the full 192-bit wide memory bus, with just 32 ROPs the 1650 Super is limited to a 128-bit memory bus. Last but certainly not least, we have the RTX 3060 Ti, best for full HD, a solid 1080p ray tracing performance, lowest power consumption of all Ampere cards, cheapest current gen card on the market. If you still use an full HD gaming monitor, then both the RTX 3070 and RTX 3080 are overkill options based on our experience. Instead, we recommend opting for the cheaper RTX 3060 Ti. This isn't the cheapest Nvidia card we've tested, with the RTX 3050 costing considerably less. But the RTX 3060 Ti is the cheapest we've benchmarked to offer reliable post-60 FPS performance with ray tracing on in 1080p. The card shares the same perks and architecture as the RTX 3070, with the main changes being reductions to its clock speeds and general specifications. Specifically, it has less tensor cores and RT cores, the parts of the card that run ray tracing and DLSS. But we didn't notice any serious issues running games in 1080p. The graphics card ran every game in our tests, even with ray tracing activated and their graphics settings maxed out. Control zoomed along at 84 frames per second and Borderlands 3 never dipped below 60 frames per second. As a result, we'd say this is the card to get if you care about ray tracing and other cutting-edge features, but are still gaming at a 1080 pixels resolution. The only downside is that the Founders Edition model we tested is still fairly large, making it a poor fit for ITX builds. If that's what you're after, you're better off checking a single-fan card, like the Nvidia RTX 3050, despite occasionally struggling to hit 60 frames per second, even in full HD, during our checks. So, which product is the winner of this showdown? Well, it depends on your needs and preferences. Each graphic card excels in its own way and offers unique features, whether it's RTX, RX 6700 XT, RX 6750 XT, RX 6600 XT, GTX 1650 Super, RTX 3060 Ti, there's a product out there that's perfect for you. So grab your favorite and get ready to take your gaming experience higher. You will find all the product link for each marketplace in the description box. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share with your friends, subscribe and turn on the notification bell, so you never miss out on our latest uploads.